Lighthouses have been a staple in horror fiction for centuries. A lighthouse stands tall near the edge of the sea, distinct, solitary, a beacon of hope, often elevated to a level of spiritual significance to sailors wary of the whimsies of the sea. There's an inherent contradiction to being a lighthouse keeper, guiding ships to safety and warmth of civilization while facing a rather lonely existence in a remote or hazardous location. But due to the advent of modern GPS technology, the lighthouse isn't as indispensable as it once was. Now it acts more as a failsafe. And even when they are required, the work of a lighthouse keeper is generally a quiet and idle experience. Not the case in Static Dread. In this game, which describes itself as Lovecraft meets Papers, Please, a repeat of the Carrington event on an even larger scale, a geomagnetic solar storm has caused communication and navigation systems around the world to glitch out or in most cases stop working altogether. This has resulted in a significant expansion of your job duties. The work now consists of not only the work of a lighthouse keeper but also the paperwork of a port officer and a navigator at the same time. There's a funny dichotomy between the importance of the work done and the way it's done in this game. Modern life as we know it is on pause while our main job remains doing a fuck ton of paperwork while operating the only working communication device that is your radio. It is Kafkaesque even, being stuck in the bureaucracy of a desk job as the world around you advances towards an alternate unknowable reality. There's a sense of unease in everything, the presence of bright aurora which brings with it a supernatural shift in the environment. The grimy and damp rooms of the lighthouse are angled weirdly. The paintings hung on the wall distort if you look at it long enough. The low poly textures used work really well for the feel of the game. And it's not like you are shielded from all dangers in the lighthouse either. While you are far away from the main city, you aren't exactly alone. The lighthouse island has a small village on one side and a dense forest on the other side. These villages make for uneasy neighbors, like the village elder who is clearly involved with the occult, the kid who knows far more than he should, the fact that the animals seem to just stop and watch. All of this sets the alarm bells ringing. It seems like you are under constant surveillance. The reports you get from the sea aren't much better. Through their radios, the sailors contact you and report anomalies on how the sea behaves or talk about the inhuman creatures they saw. And often we can clearly hear in the way the sailors speak that something weird is going on with them. The writing has the right amount of weirdness mixed in, but even if you aren't in immediate danger, it feels like you're hearing someone who has lost parts of their sanity. The high-pitched sounds of the radio trying to find a signal, with the music and the boat horns piercing the quiet, makes for a great atmosphere. And then the unknown entity contacts you. The start works phenomenally well in being creepy. It's an exceptionally intriguing setup, having to make decisions on where to send the ships based on your intuition and what you have been told, who to let into the lighthouse and who to deny. And the daily change in rules keeps things unpredictable for quite a while. But the game doesn't manage to hold on to this energy for too long. At around the halfway point, the experience starts feeling kind of dull. While the gameplay does evolve, there's a dissonance between the urgency that the game implies but doesn't actually have. The ships will wait endlessly for the player. The amount of food you can get to restore sanity and keep awake will far overtake the amount you actually need. Even if you somehow misguide every single ship, you will still have a fishing rod so that food is never a problem. Add to that the fact that so much of the playtime is just waiting for ships to arrive and going through repeats of conversation already had before by the midpoint of the game. The immersion was broken. Sometimes randomly, lights would stop working and tentacles would rise up from the ground as I would scramble to restore electricity. Or I would sheepishly make my way upstairs to fix the lighthouse spinning mechanism. No part of this system is engaging. There's no actual danger, it's just tedium. But beyond all that, I take an issue with the narrative. For that, I will head into spoiler territory. I don't have issues with the writing because it's poorly written throughout, but because it is really engaging for large chunks of it. In fact, the quality of the writing and the way it builds up the story is a large part of why I am still positive on the game. Static Dread uses every Lovecraftian cliche known to man: tentacles, cults, the sea, but it uses it well at the start. We see the transformation slowly as anxiety builds up. But it does run out of ideas soon enough. It's funny in a way that the more it goes on, the Lovecraftian activity increases and becomes openly dangerous in theory, but the actual uneasiness recedes as it feels like the game has shown you how the tricks work but still expects you to be amazed by it. And of course, it ends with a pulpy, over-dramatic sequence that is the opposite of what made the start of the game so good. By the end, it kept the aesthetic of Lovecraftian media, but none of what makes it interesting or scary. It went for the inevitable end of all Lovecraft stories in games: a fight against a giant octopus creature. I will be harsh. This game botched just about every part of its landing. It started off so good but ended up not quite face planting, but like a runner who started the race off strong but was wheezing and walking by the time they reached the finish line. And the botched aspects include many of the characters who are interesting and unique, hardly given satisfying conclusions. The primary example of this is the Keeper's family. So, the lighthouse keeper has left his family on the mainland, a small daughter and his wife. You talk to them for a bit every day and learn about the condition in the city. So when you make decisions about who you send to the main island, it has a chance of affecting their lives too. Then the game, two-thirds in, randomly drops on you that they have been dead for ages and you have been hallucinating talking to them for the last few days. And in the end, you have to choose whether you want to go back and stay with your family or banish the darkness and return normalcy to the world. Like, I get what they were trying to do, having to choose between moving on or dooming others for the sake of being with your family again. But the thing is that the game doesn't do much to make me care about the actual family. The short conversations don't create real chemistry between the characters tying together in a way that shows that they enjoy each other's company. A choice of this kind doesn't work when the characters aren't developed at all. So that's Static Dread the Lighthouse. It's an enjoyable experience for the most part, and it has an immaculate atmosphere that I appreciate, but it fails to reach the height that the game itself suggests it can early on, which means I left Static Dread more annoyed than scared.